I would request kindly Hazur to share with us the most exciting events of Hazur's latest tour.
To Holland?
Yes.
But who are these children I am carrying in my lap?
I think one was Adnan.
Adnan?
Yeah, that's
and
right.
this one? Malia?
Madiha, I think.
Usman's Nida.
Nida.
अच्छा ये उस्मान है, अदनान नहीं है? अदनान है. He's younger?
Yeah.
She's a bit older. ठीक है. अच्छा, anyway, the point raised by Mrs.
Lena.
No, what her name?
Lena.
Lena. Lena? अच्छा. The point raised by Mrs. Lena Naim, correct? Is always raised when I return from my tour of Europe, or any other tour. This time somebody has suggested to her that she should do it, correct? Yes. The tour was very short. It lasted only 5 nights. And part of the days in the beginning and in the end. And it was a Jalsa Salana, annual conference of the Jamaat Holland. It was well attended, larger than ever before was the audience. And the audience hailed from all different walks of life and also from different nationalities. You could see the beginning of a universal character in the Holland Jamaat, because many Africans participated. Moroccans in particularly were very prominent in their presence, and their participation was very positive. And some of them who became Ahmadis not very long ago have already become so charged with the spirit of Ahmadiyyat and the love for the message. That's amazing, they can be quoted as a paragon of Ahmadi virtue. Young boys mostly. In fact, it began with one boy from Morocco who takes pride in his being a Berber, a true Berber, who in fact conquered Spain for the Muslims. And when he right from that day on, he started preaching particularly to his family members. Then his brother converted, then his sister converted, then his mother converted, then the younger brother this time also converted to Ahmadiyyat. And they're all very enthusiastic, and they spread the message all around in the grace of Allah. So many other Moroccans, I think, under their influence had come, and their participation was very positive. They didn't come to find faults. They were genuinely interested in truth, and they were responding beautifully to all the answers which I gave in response to some questions. Again, the participation of the Dutch people in the question-answer session was also very useful and very positive in its attitude. And this, made me very happy to notice this time that Ahmadis seemed to have been working on them before. They just did not bring them new, to increase the number of participants, because each one seemed to have some knowledge of Ahmadiyyat and wanted to inquire some more. And although the whole session was scheduled to last only 2 hours, it lasted more than 3 hours. And for the Hollandish people, the Dutch people, to sit with patience for such a long session of question and answers, while they are used to, enjoy music and this and that, they are not used to serious conferences like this. Yet they all were totally absorbed, and they sat all fascinated and, sort of hooked on to what was going on. One lady, for instance, stood up and said that I am a believer in the unity of God. And the way I have seen Ahmadis to behave here in this world, I have no shadow of doubt that they are people who will go to heaven. So the question is, shall I also go to heaven with my belief in the unity of God and my good deeds if I can perform them? So I want you to pray for me that I'll be with you in the hereafter. This was the general response of a lady. It was so, emotionally expressed that it was difficult to hold one's tears. I said, of course, go ahead and I'll also pray for you. Then there were some young boys of the university whose questions were very fair, whose views were very well balanced, which raised the hope in my heart that Europe is now turning to these Muslim values. They seem to be fed up with, like what happened here with the Tony Blair's party of Labour and their victory, their landslide victory. It just does not indicate that their policy of education was better, their policy on Europe was better. It simply indicates one fact, that a new generation of Britain has come up. And they're fed up with old style, superficial political behavior and so on and so forth. They want a meaningful change in the attitudes. So I think this is applicable. The factors which brought about this revolution in England are applicable to the general trend of the entire European youth. So that gave me the cue to advise the Jamaat to go all out for the youth, because the way they framed their questions and the way they nodded with my answers in full accord, without slightest hesitation, was so encouraging and so amazing. For instance, on the issue of absolute justice, one young man from the university who is doing his and is going for PhD to America, he spoke beautiful English, and his question was about the Ahmadiyya concept of absolute justice. So within a matter of a few sentences, he completely agreed with that, and only inquired if there is any hope for the mankind to follow that concept of absolute justice which you have explained. He said, can you really rely on that? When I answered him, I said, sorry, I can't, say with any measure of my own dependence on that. I can't do it, because however much I wish the world to change to absolute justice, there are very few signs, if at all any, for me to go by to build a rosy picture for you. Only I can wish and pray. In the end he said, I wish and pray that whatever you wish and pray comes true. That sort of thing. So this experience in Holland was not like the old style experience when people used to call the friends or the guests with titles and honorable position and conservative style people. So that is why it reminded me of the victory of Tony Blair's party here in England, because that change is already taking place across Europe. And the new style of the youth which is emerging is not given up as blindly to worldly pleasure as people thought from the behavior of the previous generation. There may be pop singers and this and that, but they're seriously now searching for peace of mind and peace of heart. So this is the general impression I have carried back from Holland. Otherwise, a word of praise must be said for the Ahmadi youth, the old and the young, men and women all alike. They work so hard to make such conferences successful that you don't see any flaw anywhere. It runs on very quietly, smoothly, as if no effort is being made. But the efforts, of course they are being made. The more efforts are made and more organized efforts are made, the more silent becomes the system. When you do not hear noises, it does not mean that there is no work going on. On the contrary, when you do not hear noises, it means that the work is going on perfectly. And there is no discord at all, and the people are working day and night. So that was my sense of gratitude for the Ahmadiyya Jamaat in Holland, which I expressed to them as well, and I want to share the rest of the world with me. This sense of gratitude I have brought back from Holland. The Jamaat is doing a wonderful job. They're dedicated. They're putting every effort they have in the path of Islam and the victory of values for the future.